Absolutely awesome. So there's Mom, and here comes the little cub. That's not so little anymore. Morning, you. We haven't seen you for so long. Okay, guys, I'm just going to get on the radio to Taxon quickly. At Tax, we're on central east of Inyala Road, north and south at the moment. Oh, how cool was that little jump? That was epic. How cool is this, guys? And it looks like this cub is in a very playful mood. And I'm very happy to hear that a lot of you are ecstatic about this incredible, incredible scene. And it seems like they're going to come walking quite close past the vehicle. This cub's having a tricky time negotiating this long green grass. Yay! We got them! And it's been quite a while since this little cub's seen us, and that's why it's looking a little bit inquisitively. But you can see it certainly hasn't lost its playful, almost rebellious nature. Thandi's still not looking very happy. I'm not too sure what's going on, Thandi. Stop pulling that funny face. The cub, on the other hand, is making up for its mom's kind of solemn mood. And I think because it's been such a long time since we've seen this little family of leopards, we should invite on board some other viewers on another platform. So I'm just going to keep quiet for a second before we do so. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Sabi Sands in South Africa. As you can see, we've got a tiny little leopard cub and its mother. My name's Scott, and it's a great pleasure to welcome you on board this live safari. Please let us know how you're feeling and any questions you would like to ask using the comment box below. We haven't seen this leopardess and her cub for about 3 weeks now, so we're incredibly excited to see them again, and it appears like they are showing us an incredible morning. The cub is looking so playful, bounding around with joy. And isn't this an absolutely magical, magical scene? Here they come. Roshni, you've just commented on how quickly this cub has grown up and how awesome it is, and it really is awesome. And the fact that we've been able to follow its life so closely, other than the last 3 weeks that they've been away, is really, truly special. Now, don't be alarmed. She's walking right alongside the vehicle, just a few meters from us. The cub's not as confident as Mom yet, but we are incredibly lucky in this area of South Africa in that we get the most fascinating sightings of leopards, where they are very, very habituated to our presence. They're certainly not tame, they're not hand-reared. There goes the cub, slinking through the grass. Donald, you would like to know how old this young cub is, and we guess it was born somewhere around kind of the 10th of November is a rough date that we're working off. We don't know exactly when, but somewhere in that kind of area. So December, January, February, March, yeah, around 4 months at the moment, there and thereabouts. And it's only for the last month or so that the cub's really been moving a lot with Mom. The first 3 months of a leopard's life, they kind of spend in quite a small area, while the cub is not as mobile and a lot smaller. And from about 3 months of age, roughly, the cub starts to move a lot more with the mother, from kill to kill. And yes, Erica, this is certainly a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Look at this. How crazy! What next? Now, I'm sure this leopard is just going to slink past straight in front of the elephants. Not too concerned. I just want to move the vehicle quickly because sadly those bushes are in the way. I didn't realize how perfectly it was all going to pan out. Oh, now the leopards have slunk off. It looked like the elephant may have spotted them, and it's a big old bull. I'm sure he's not going to pay too much attention to them, but we just prefer them out the way. I'm not actually convinced he did see them, though. The elephant's eyesight isn't great, and I think he was just moving off to the next bush. It just kind of the way he waddled towards them made it look like he was coming with a little bit more intent than he actually was. Ben, you'd like to know if this elephant could trample the cub? Yes, it certainly does have the physical capabilities of doing that, but I don't think it has the inclination to do it, you know. With lions, I think, yes, it could well happen more often, and lions are on bigger prides and easier to detect than a solitary leopardess and her cub. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. Sorry, Ellie Bull, we're going to leave you be. You've been upstaged by the leopards today, but good to spot you briefly. And how cool was that? 2 shots of the leopard. Oh, let's just stop here. It looks like mom and cub are bounding through the grass there. Tricky business with being on a live safari, because sometimes our plans don't work out as well as we would like them to. But we are very, very happy to have welcomed all of you guys on board for those few moments with the leopardess and her cub. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to continue watching this morning's safari, we've still got another 2 hours or so, and you can just Google Safari Live to find us. It will be very easy. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time. Yes, we've been lucky. They've moved through a very thick area, but we've fortunately been able to stay with them. Well, not very thick, but a few little kind of small riverbeds and gullies, and it seems like Mom is now happy to take a breather over here. As I did say a little bit earlier, especially Mom, I haven't really noticed the cub's belly too much, but Mom does look to be well fed, and I'm guessing that they've been camped out for the last 36 to 48 hours on a kill. So from when her tracks came into the property 2 days ago, I'm sure she quickly snaffled up a meal, took the cub there, and that's where they've been hanging out until the early hours of this morning. How cool is this little cub keeping a beady eye on us? And it'll be very interesting to know how much time they've spent with vehicles over the last 3 weeks, how successful the other guides have been in tracking them down. We are unaware of. Some of you guys might know from following the other kind of lodges' Facebook pages or anything like that. But we've got no idea really where they've been moving, how much they've been seen. But this cub is certainly on the right track to become a very, very well habituated female leopard who hopefully we'll be able to follow very closely for years to come. Cute. But it does still have a long way to go. I'd say at least another 8 or 9 months before it is kind of completely safe, especially with the Hukumuri imposter male leopard who's moving into this area. Magical stuff. Mrs. Grumpy, you're impressed with how healthy Thandi's looking, and I agree, she certainly is looking in tip-top shape. She's not a youngster, there's no two ways about that. She's 11 years old, which as far as leopardess go, she's on the slightly older side of the spectrum. But she certainly is in great nick, and she appears to be a very successful hunter. She doesn't often appear to have much trouble finding food. It'd be very interesting to be able to work out how successful one leopard is at hunting compared to another. Tricky, but it would be an interesting thing to try and work out. Joel, you'd like to know when will this cub start kind of hunting with Mom? From about a year of age, I'd say there's a chance a cub could assist a mother through default in hunting, but they will never work as a team. They're not programmed to do that, and that's why it's through default more than anything else that, her and the cub could be moving through the bush from A to B, and mom could flush some prey towards the cub, and the cub will possibly instinctively latch onto it, therefore assisting. Oh, how cool is this? But I mean, even from now, Joel, and from younger than when we are looking at this cub now, from months back, it would have started stalking and pouncing on small little insects. Maybe a tortoise walked past the den sites, little flies, grasshoppers. There's so many little animals that will catch this cub's attention and allow it to practice and hone its hunting techniques on them. Even though they may not be edible prey, it is certainly useful, like I said, for helping the cub hone its skills. You would have also noticed this morning that it's spending a lot of time kind of playing with mom. That's also a very useful play because, again, honing its skills. Here it goes, stalking up on mom, deciding when to pounce. There we go. That's so cool. It's the second time it's done one of those funny kind of pounces straight up into the air this morning. Here comes another one, it looks like. This is going to be good. Oh, we've got the perfect angle because now mom's walking straight towards us, and I think we're going to get a great shot. Come on, little cubster. One big pounce for us. No joy. But it could happen at any time. The further mom gets away from mom, the more likely it is to chase after it. Hello, the canine. You would like to know if a jaguar is bigger than a leopard. Oh, we may be in for some real golden opportunities here. Yes, jump onto that that rock. There's not many rocks on Juma, and to see a leopard on a little outcrop like this is just too beautiful for words. Now we just need the cub to follow, which I'm sure it will. Sorry, the canine, I'm getting so excited here that I'm not even sure if I answered your question, but yes, jaguars are bigger than leopards, considerably so, and a female jaguar will be considerably larger than a big male leopard. I'm told female jaguars can be about 120 kilos. Let me see if I can move us a little bit because the bushes are in the way. Just a tiny bit further forward. Ooh, may not be getting out of here, but should be okay. We've just disappeared down an almighty hole, and I'm not even sure if that got us the shot that we wanted. Not really. But how cool is this? The Juma koppies. A koppie is a rocky outcrop, and this is as good as it gets for us here. I noticed it the other day on bushwalk, and I think it was with you, Davy, that I think I mentioned this is as good as it gets for us. Look at Mom teasing the cub with her tail. Bobby, you'd like to know if this cub's golden look will fade as it gets older. No, I don't think so. I think it's going to stay a very similar shade to what it is now. I don't think it's hugely different to Mom, to be honest, but maybe I'm just not recognizing or noticing the differences that you are. My attention to detail may not be as good as yours. Oh, well, that was absolutely incredible to have them on this little rock. Very happy about that, but now we need to see if we can get out of the hole. Well, they've just been taking a breather here. We managed to very fortunately catch up with them. It took us a while to get through that little riverbed. Dave actually had to jump off the vehicle because at one stage we thought it may flip onto its head. But it didn't, thankfully, and we made it through. And what's fascinating is that these two have been lying around. Your mom's just stood up now, but there's an impala feeding very nearby. It's got no idea these leopard are here. The impala's just on the other side of our vehicle, so we won't show it to you just yet because it'll require Dave having to pan a long way away from the leopards, and that's where the action is for the time being. But just bear in mind that Thandi may have an opportunity to try and get their next meal. It's an adult male impala, but she's taken those down before. A little bit on the big side for a leopardess. It'll be an almighty wrestling match if she does in fact succeed. It was so cute when we initially found them here. Her and the cub were just lying on the ground, rolling around with one another. And not a worry in the world for now. Puma, you would like to know at what age leopard cubs will start eating meat, and it's from around 3 months of age as a general rule. However, what's interesting... Oh, here comes the little cub again. What's interesting is that Thandi took, on a number of occasions, meat back to the den sites when the cub was even younger. Oh, jump on. From even younger than 3 months, and it's absolutely bizarre that she did that. Not the best parenting, because taking food back to the den sites of a young and vulnerable cub is only going to attract more danger to it. So some strange stuff happened there, and we're not exactly sure if the cub was getting to feed on any of the kills that were being taken back, or if it was just mom that was snacking on them. I think the first thing we saw this cub eating was bacon, actually. I think it was Tristan saw it eating some remains of a young warthog. Now let's see if mom doesn't spot this impala. Let's watch very closely here. The impala's more to the right of where she's looking. I love the way the cub kind of follows mom's every move. Doesn't seem like she's detected it yet, but I'm confident she will shortly. She's heading in the right trajectory to see the impala. Let's just keep watching very closely, and if she jams on brakes, then we know she's spotted it. But for now, no, looking the wrong way. Even though she stopped there, she's looking in the wrong spot. And I've got a feeling this little cub could possibly blow it for mom the way it runs around up ahead and bounds into the air. Okay, let's keep moving. We may be able to get a 2-shot of her walking past the impala. Oh, no, the impala spotted them. Just heard the pa, pa. But we'll be able to hopefully get you some cool views of the impala shouting at the leopard. And there we go. That's going to work nicely. The impala's just directly through the bushes. You can see a little bit of movement. It's actually running towards the leopard. Oh, it just stopped behind that bush, but it's somewhere in there. And here it comes. How cool is this? So, isn't it interesting how the prey don't just flee, they rather keep an eye on the threat. And as you can see, it's following them closely here now. How cool. Let's see if I can't get us a few more 2-shots. Aaron, you'd like to know if a leopard's spots are unique, just like fingerprints. And yes, they certainly are. Each leopard has got slightly different spots, and that's how we can distinguish one leopard from another. They all look different. Not easy to tell though. Some people are far better at differentiating between leopards than others. I'm not exactly an expert. A lot of our viewers have become really good and can just take a glance at a leopard and know who it is. Now this is obviously not ideal for the leopard and her cub, because now everything in the general area is going to be on high alert, having heard this impala's insistent alarm calls. But thankfully they're not starving, so it's not a huge issue. It just means that if they were going to stumble upon an easy meal, the chances of that happening now are not as good. Okay. What a treat. What an absolute treat. Well, you can see the cub bounding off through the grass after mom. and we're going to need to reposition again. So now they're heading down a road, and they are close to our eastern boundary at the moment, sadly. So that's a bit of a concern. And let me just turn us around a little bit more, get them waltzing off together. And what I'm thinking I need to try and do, there's a little bit of a clearing up ahead which will allow us to loop ahead of them and get them walking straight down towards us. So that's what we'll try and do. I love the way the cub's got such a spring in its step, jogging to keep along with Mom, almost enticing her to try and play. But she's having she's having none of it. But the cub is still trying its best to urge her on. That was so cool. No ways. Alrighty. Well, we're getting spoiled absolutely rotten this morning, everyone. If you may be joining for the first time, it's not always like this. So you've joined at a good stage. I think everyone should phone a friend and tell them to log in and catch some of this magic, because it doesn't really get any better than this. And the more people that watch means the more places we can take you to. Simple equation, we need your help. Okay, let's do a big loop ahead, get ahead of them, and imagine if we can get the cub bounding after Mom straight down the barrel towards us. That will be the money shot. I'm going to suggest that we just, if you're just patient with me, guys, and just give me a short time to get ahead of them, it'll be the best, because if we send you away now, even though this isn't very exciting, then we may miss the magic when it happens. Oof, this grass is so thick and long at the moment that it's quite scary to off-road through, because you don't know if you're going to drive down a hole or into a stump. No, I just need to choose the longest, straightest section of road. Oh, no, she's just veered off. Don't veer off. This makes our lives a little bit tricky. I was hoping they were going to come straight down the road towards us, but they veered off it kind of to the left. Oh, no. She's popping out again. Yes, there she is. Here goes. Bobby, you'd like to know, how does Thandi tell the youngster to stay put when hunting? And it'll just be some kind of vocalization. What exactly, I'm not too sure. How cool is this? Perfect sunlight coming straight towards us. But yeah, it'll be some kind of audio cue. They often chuff, which is kind of breathing. Sounds something like that. Two young cubs as a form of communication. This is absolutely magical. Perfect sunlight. You can see Thandi's even having to raise her head to see over this long grass to make sure she doesn't miss anything. And here they go, straight past us. Just meters from the vehicle. The cub's not quite as sure of us as Mom yet, but she'll get there. And considering how young it is, it's incredible that we are already so spoilt into the views that we are getting of it. Okay. Let's do one more big loop ahead while the going's good, because it is a nice big grassy clearing that we can fairly safely and efficiently skirt around. Just going to give everyone a quick update on the Game Drive radio as to where we are. Stations Thandi and Youngster are mobile south on Drakensberg from Battalieu Junction. Okay. Now she has just slunk off the road. She may come back onto it. She is heading into quite a thick spot, so let's just bank one more guaranteed view of her before we have to negotiate our next bout of off-roading. More serious off-roading. This is mild off-roading for the time being. coming straight towards us here, so we should get some more good views. It's really useful spending time with her as she moves about like this, because we get an idea of kind of pathways that she may like to use more than others. And we're actually very close to one of the areas where she used to stash this little cub. It was just before that time when she had a duiker and a waterbuck kill in the same tree. That kill was very close to where we are here, and literally in the exact direction where her and the youngster are heading now is where she stashed the cub in a small termite mound prior to making those two kills. Well, it doesn't get any better than this. We've literally had this leopardess and her cub for coming on 2 hours now. We found her very early on in the drive, and spoiled rotten. No other vehicles have wanted to join us here. I'm not too sure why. Obviously there's some other action elsewhere, but we really need to just take a moment to be grateful for this wonderful, wonderful morning. Good. Karen, you would like to know how much does the cub weigh at the moment, and she's, I don't know, tricky to be certain. I would guess 5 kilograms, but yeah, no idea, to be honest. I mean, if any of you, I mean, it looks to me like the size of an average domestic house cat, a little bit chunkier. So, yeah, if any one of you would like to weigh your house cats and let us know if they think they're a similar size to this critter, that would be very useful. I've never had cats, so never weighed one. How cool is this? A leopard on a log. It doesn't get better, even if it is only 6 inches off the ground. And I'm very, very happy that we've come here, because it seems like Thandi knows that this is a spot that the cub is kind of familiar with. The termite mound that it's hidden in before is just to the left of it, not too far away. Dave's about to show it to you there. You can see a little clump of sand off and up to the left. So it's in that termite mound where there's some cavities where the cub can hide out. We've seen it there before, many months ago, and I think Thandi's just going to spend the rest of the day here until such point in time that she thinks it's time to go and get their next meal, where she'll actually leave the cub here in all likelihood, head off alone, be far more stealthy and effective that way. And what's important is that it's great prospects, therefore, for the afternoon safari, because we've got a good base to work off now that we know where we think their next headquarters will be. And after all this rough and tumble, it's time to do some grooming, make sure they're not too dirty and covered in little bits of grass seeds and parasites. Joel, you would like to know, from what age can you start using the cub spot pattern to identify it? Well, from day one. The spot pattern doesn't change, it stays the same. So, yeah, right from the get-go. I mean, of course, the day it's born maybe is not true, but from now till when it's an adult, its spots aren't going to change. Yes, it may get a few extra nicks on its noses from fights or notches in its ears, but its spot pattern will remain the same. And if you look very closely, just above the cub's, it's going to be difficult because it's moving so much now, but just above the cub's top whisker line, it's got very distinctive spots. That looks like 4 on its right-hand side and possibly another 4 on its left. And those will stay true. Mom's got 3 on her left. I'm not too sure how many on the right. But yeah, Joel, the spot patterns are something that will remain true throughout the leopard's life. Blue Cozy, you would like to know what would happen if Tingana, the father of this leopard, would actually greet it if it came onto the scene. Yeah, possibly. They usually don't have too much to do with the cubs, but it may. I haven't seen them together, so I don't know from any first-hand experience. So I just need to jump on the radio again. For now, she's stationary just north of Mamba, west of Drakensberg. I'd say 100 meters north and west of the Drakensberg-Mamba junction in the drainage. Whew. Well, I'm quite relieved that they've stopped moving. They've taken us through some seriously tricky areas to negotiate this morning. David looks like the cub might be creeping up on her again. Let's see if the cub doesn't do an almighty pounce here. Should be coming into frame shortly. There we go. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. I love the way this cub just jumps for joy. It's done it a couple of times today. Tiring business being a mother. Imagine if she had 2 cubs, and sometimes leopards will even have 3. Imagine how much work she'd have then. I mean, even just this one seems like a bit of a nightmare. Paula, I couldn't agree more. You've just mentioned that this is too sweet for words, and it really is. We've been completely spoilt this morning. And the good news is it's not over yet. Looks like they're going to set up shop here for the rest of the morning. Who knows how long they'll be playful for, but for now it seems like this cub still has lots of energy. And it looks like it's planning its next attack. That was a very good little pounce. Straight onto Mom's head and straight over. Great work on camera there too, Dave. Not easy keeping up with that flying furball. Well, magic, magic stuff. Good, I'm going to need some time to help get the other vehicle into the sighting, and while I help them do that, we will send you across to Taylor. Well, good luck with the birding, Taylor. We are not too interested in the birds at the moment, and that's due to the fact that we've got this incredibly cute little furball right in front of us. Just try to nurse from Mum a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see how much longer it tries to drink milk for. But I am guessing that because they have probably come from a kill, judging from Mom's belly, that the cub too has also been feeding on meat. And it'll be more kind of in times where there's not too much meat around that the cub will substitute meat with milk. And I guess a combination of Mom also deciding as and when to start weaning the little cub away from milk. But the cub's not ready for that just yet, and you can see it's going straight in to try and get some more. But what did Mom do there? Did Mom disallow it? It looked like it may have. This cub's really loving this log. It keeps heading back to the log and then launching its attack from there. Attacks of playfulness. Mario, you would like to know which was the previous cub that this leopardess raised, and his name is Tamba. We spent some time with him yesterday afternoon. He's just over 2 years of age now. I'm not too sure on the finer details of his age, but a beautiful, beautiful young male leopard who tends to be camping out quite a bit on Djuma at the moment. I think we're actually missing him quite a bit. I think he's spending a lot of time in the northeastern corner of our property, but it's just an area where we haven't been working kind of and searching too much in. But the reason why I think he's lurking there is that we've seen him on a number of times in similar kind of areas, and a young male leopard like Tamba especially with lots of big males in the area and a territorial dispute busy taking place with the two kind of big dominant males of the area, he'll be lying low in an area where those two are not spending too much time. So kind of smaller areas than a leopard would normally kind of traverse is the likely scenario of young Tumba. Oh, here comes the cub again. Dave is ready for the pounce, using the cover to stalk up to Mom. Probably just going to see it peeking its head over the branch. Or is it going to go under? I'll be interested to see what it decides to do, under or over. Seems like there's a little head peeking over. Too cute. You can't stop out in the open like that. You've got to continue your attack. Oh, and there it is. The tail bore the brunt of it, and it looks like Mom is getting slightly less playful as it starts to heat up. There was a little snarl there as the cub came back onto the scene. But now, even though the cub's chewing on her ear, she doesn't seem too concerned. Oh, there was a little kind of snarling huff that sent the cub off in the opposite direction. Carol, you'd like to know if Thandi has been an estrus since the cub was born. No, not that I'm aware of. It's unlikely that she'll be an estrus until that cub becomes independent again. Well, not again, becomes independent, which will be anywhere from around 12 to 18 months. 12 months being very, very young for a leopard to start creating an independent scenario for the cub. So yeah, it's going to be at least, I would say, another year before she comes into season again. They can only raise one set of cubs at a time. It would be too much work to try and take on two. Even though in her situation she is only raising one cub. Sometimes a leopardess like this will have to raise 3 cubs at a time, but that's uncommon. Kind of 2's the norm. But yeah, she just has to wait until the next round of mating to see how big her next litter will be. It would have been fascinating to know how many cubs she actually gave birth to with this girl that we're looking at now. It could have been 2 other siblings that both died at a young age or were killed by something at a young age. But the first and only cub sightings we've had is just this one individual. Oh, that wasn't very graceful. You need to practice that move again. Look at those claws coming out of her paws. Proud cat mama, you would like to know if domestic cats and leopards share any of the same behavior, and you tell me. I mean, judging by their behavior this morning, it's fairly cat-like, and I wouldn't think it's hugely different to a domestic cat or how a domestic cat would behave with its young kitten. So yeah, I think there's many similarities between a domestic cat and a leopard. Just in terms of the way they move, the bonds between mother and cub, the playfulness between mother and cub, I think will be very similar. But just like human kind of scenarios, each family and each leopard will be different, as will each domestic house cat's relationship with its siblings, etc., etc. The list goes on forever. But yeah, I think they are very similar beasts. Okay. Now, sadly, as this poor other vehicle's getting onto the scene, it looks like Thandi is getting up and mobile again. But I think she's just going to lie down in the shade. I think that's what she's looking for, because I'm confident that this is going to be the spot where she stashes the cub for the next short while until she decides to head off hunting again. Hopefully she's successful on Juma and takes the cub back to a kill on Juma that we can then go and enjoy witnessing. For now, she's just thinking about what her next move should be. Seems like she could also be listening to something there. You can see how her ears are twitching and very kind of alert. How much time left? Oh, still quite a lot of time left on this morning's safari, so the good news is they've decided to come back to us. Perfect. Maybe it was something she just heard down there and wanted to double check what it was. Just to make 100% certain there's no issues, no possible threats. And even though it is a very peaceful and tranquil scene here, there are threats that could pop up at any moment. Good stuff. Well, we're going to stay put and send you across to Steve with a mega mammal. Well, no updates really, just the same kind of... Sorry guys, I just had to snap a few pictures there, even though I'm not supposed to. Forgive me. Yeah, so more of the playful happiness. Oh, interesting, a little snarl from Thandi there, and that's interesting. Maybe it's got to do with the fact that there's a second vehicle on the scene. Hard to be certain. They have finally made their way in here. And here it comes again. Ah, too good to be true. Well, Hasmam, you'd like to know how long do blue eyes last on a leopard cub? The first time I saw this little leopard cub, it had blue eyes. It was probably mid-December that I saw it. Early December. And I would say probably, yeah, maybe for the first month or two of its life. Not necessarily all cubs will have bluish eyes, and sometimes certain individuals' cubs will last longer, or will stay a bluish color for longer. Again, with all these kinds of questions, I can't emphasize enough that if we think of us as humans, our own species, with a question like this, it's like saying, how long will a baby boy human eye stay blue? And your answer will be, well, it depends on the individual. And it's the same with wild animals. There's no set rules. All of them are their own individual. And, yeah. I guess that may help one's kind of train of thought with wildlife-related questions. They can often be related to us as humans. Wisteria Whisper, yes, you're right, the cub is very full of it this morning. I don't think I've ever seen it so playful, and I guess it's a combination of the fact that it's kind of growing and becoming bolder and more confident. But yes, this morning has been absolute pure joy with regards to the cub's energy levels. May as well take a moment just to breathe. I've been chatting non-stop for just about 2 hours now, so I don't have too much more to say. Safari Dean, no, we will not. We will not call leopard cubs kittens. It's a good question. I'm not sure kind of where the divide becomes, but I think all of the big cats are termed, well, youngsters are termed cubs, and the smaller cats like, excuse me, serval, caracal, I think those would be termed as kittens, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think everyone will know what you're talking about. Very good. Well, it seems like they're going to move off ever so slightly. I don't think they're going to move too far, but we may have to reposition, and while we do that, we are going to send you off to Steve and a tree. Well, it's hard to be certain what they're doing because they're in some very, very thick bush. We can see a little bit of movement, so I'm guessing the cub is still playing around with Mom, but I'm confident they're going to spend the rest of the day here. They're not very far from the termite mound that she has used for this cub as a base before, but it's impenetrably thick, and even with our little vehicle that can go just about anywhere, we sadly can't get you any views of where they are chilling out. But we've had such a wonderful morning that I think we would be greedy to want anything more, and I think we are going to head off and come back into this area later on this afternoon. Like I said, I'm confident that they're going to probably spend the rest of the day here, just relax, take it easy. I could be wrong, but I'm hoping that's going to be the case, and whoever comes back here this afternoon should be able to find them relatively easily. Magical, we're going to head off and see what else we can find and send you across to Steve, who's got some vultures.